Hi, Rita.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good. It's life is more surprising now that the door is unlocked. I just never know who's coming next.
Yeah.
Also, we just had another visitor. But that's so good to have the door open.
Yeah. Thank you again for your help today, Becky.
Sure, anytime, Michael. Did you get everything you needed?
Yeah, it worked out really well. So,
Okay, good. Good. We did have a message from Melissa that she might be a couple minutes late. I'm not sure about, I think Eric said he would be here, so
Yes, he's back.
I think I'll just give him a quick call just to make sure he remembers. Okay. Eric is on his way to the meeting. I don't think he has a lot of time, so hopefully we will have a short meeting. Okay, so we can't open the meeting until you have a quorum. But this is Melissa's first night back to the real world.
Oh, it's her first day back in the office.
Oh, boy.
Well, she was there last week. It's the first night. There's also a meeting.
Oh, okay.
Be right back.
Kristen, are you at liberty to say how Ray is doing?
Yes, I am. I checked in with him just on Monday. I'm going to actually go visit him tomorrow morning. He told me that I was able to let everyone know that he is doing well and healing. He is in good spirits, but he has a very long road ahead of him.
Yeah.
He will be hopefully leaving the rehab facility soon, and he will be staying with a family member to do some more healing.
Okay, good.
So I told him how everyone's asking, and I asked him specifically what he minds sharing, if anything, and just Ray's just that kind of guy. So share whatever.
Yeah.
So
I did send a card
I will see him tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I sent a card through somebody in Hatfield that I know that was posted on Nextdoor. So somebody was bringing him cards, I guess. So
yeah, so I'm collecting them as of now for him. He told me that he would prefer that. So
okay.
Because he would know that he would definitely get them.
And
so any new ones that come in, yes.
Okay.
Any new ones that should come in, I have a handful to bring him tomorrow. And he's really happy. It makes him feel good. He said that everybody's asking about him and hoping that he's doing well.
Yeah, good.
Okay, now you have a quorum.
Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order.
Sorry, I was late.
That's okay. We're missing Eric, but since we're already a few minutes behind schedule, we're going to go ahead and get started.
There he is.
There's Eric. So the first thing is public comment, and just want to open it up for the next few minutes if anybody has any comments. We have a small audience here tonight. So no public comment. Okay. All right. So just quickly going through the agenda for tonight. It's a pretty light agenda. We're going to get a update on PFAS as we've been doing in previous meetings, update from Melissa, also from Becky, and there's a couple of things that the select board need to sign. So we have to review that, an easement order and an order notice of taking. And then we have minutes, and then that's it for this evening, a real end of summer agenda. So why don't we go ahead, Becky, with the update on PFAS. I know there's some late breaking news.
Yeah. So as you've heard in prior updates, Caprice Shaw from DEP has been in town, and she's done a number of tests around our community. She has enlarged the scope to those who have been calling her if they're near the areas that have hotspots. There are a number of positives over near Old Orchard. But the latest results we just got in are on Leverett Road. The fire station has the highest hit that we've had so far. It's 137 with a DEP standard, I believe, of 70. And I'm sorry, the DEP standard is 20. The federal standard is 70. So this is very concerning to have a number this high, especially since it impacts the Valentines who have been attached to the town well for 15 years because of the gasoline. So DEP responded immediately by driving out water coolers and 5-gallon jugs of water and delivering them to the Valentines. And there's a third house, a second house, a third facility attached to that well, and that's the parsonage that's under construction currently. They are using the water, so the DEP also sent out a water cooler with 5-gallon jugs and 1-gallon jugs for their use as in the next month until they figure out what to do about a filter. The filter for the Valentines, unfortunately, was received by the Valentines, but still is not installed because the contractor couldn't find a plumber. He did come up with a date. It was to be installed tomorrow with a number of other filters that are being installed in town in Old Orchard, but the Valentines will not be home. And so it won't be able to happen for them tomorrow. I'm pushing the contractor. I gave him a few more plumbers to call, and he's promising to get the Valentine's filter in this coming week. So there's been, luckily there aren't a large number of homes, but it is very concerning that especially for the Valentines, to learn that their drinking water has PFAS at that level. So we are going to be learning more. The Board of Health is reaching out and learning more about health impacts, and we'll be following up with DEP. Today, I started talking with Caprice about remediation for PFAS, which is the next step that they will be looking at. I guess they're determining that if the soil where the PFAS was first penetrating can be cleaned up, that it has, if that is removed, it can have a very positive impact on the groundwater below it. So we have a lot to learn about that in the upcoming weeks. But I think that is a project that the town will be taking on most prudently. It has been the town's response over the years to do our best to clean up if we find there is a problem like the gasoline was 12 years ago or 10 years ago. So that's my update. It's not as positive as we'd hoped for, but we are taking appropriate action and hoping to do more for those that are impacted.
Vicki, is there any, I know there was some mention, I don't know where I read it, about the legislature looking at PFAS and what the state might do in terms of remediation and making money available. Is DEP talking about that for towns that have been impacted by this?
They have not yet. I think Creases basically, they don't have order, I don't think the legislation is final yet, but I need to reach out to our legislators. I did let Joe Comerford know about our situation when it originally started, and I sent an update about 10 days ago when we started getting higher numbers. And she said she would keep us in mind and that they were working towards funding for to help people out. I know that the filters, while some can be 1,500, others are up to 3,000 or 4,000. So it's not something everyone can easily afford to remediate for their own water supply. So I'm hopeful to get some grant funding for some of the carbon filter installations for people in the community. And that's on the request list to Joe Comerford and Natalie.
Okay. And the CARES Act money, could that be used for this?
I think it can, yeah. Yeah, we just want to go through and prioritize the funding sources that we have on the table and see how much we could allocate. There is another homeowner right next to lot 032 who got a reading, I believe, of 40, which is much better than the fire station, but still a health concern at the DEP level. That the DEP set their maximum at 20 before there's levels of concern. So the good news there is Nancy Dillman has not been drinking the water. She uses filtered water, so at least hasn't been using it, ingesting it. And the third home that's right between the two, back behind, is the Oakendan house. And I believe that is a 0, which is one wonderful piece of news in all of it. And just for full disclosure, my house was also tested. I'm down about 3 houses down from Nancy Dillman's, and my results came back negative. So hopefully that it's not, hopefully there are others that are negative between those houses. Does anyone have any questions?
The only question I would have is I assume we're not doing anything that would create more PFAS, right? I assume that because it seems like a problem that we've created or has been created by society in some way. And I assume we're not doing anything more that'll do that.
To the one area that is clear source for us was the fire department's fire retardant spraying of vehicles that they used to do training burns behind the fire station with cars, and then put it out with the spray foam that contained the PFAS. That practice was discontinued over 20 years ago. But as you can see, problems, take a while to reveal themselves.
Okay. Any other questions, Michael?
Yeah, I just had a quick one. So you partially answered it, Becky. With the gasoline, all that soil is removed. So is there an understanding like it's not that soil, it's probably in the back soil? And it sounds like the focal point is the fire station?
The fire station, you know where that big tower is behind the fire station?
Mhm.
To the left of that, into the field, they would bring junk cars sometimes. And
Yeah.
that's where they would do the tests. So it'd be to like on that side, which is closer to the part where the wells are. The wells
Okay.
are in the, what is it, the east part of that field. And that's
Got it.
where it was.
Okay, that's helpful. Thanks.
And I think the soil that was removed for the fire station was more close to the
In the front.
driveway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was in the front and towards the
right there.
the wetland
Mhm.
that's also to the west.
Mhm.
But I'm not sure if it's gonna, we're hoping it's gonna be helpful, but the water has traditionally flowed from the east to the west. So that's where the gasoline migrated from. There had been talk that the parsonage 30 years ago was impacted by gasoline, the parsonage well, maybe 40 years ago now. And that we're hoping is been also moving towards that wetland on to the west and getting flushed out of the area. With all the assistance of removing gas and also the remediation that was done there.
Yeah.
The chemical remediation.
Okay, thanks. I assume this PFAS updates will be a regular on our agenda for a while.
Until we have nothing to talk about.
Right. That will be a nice day. Okay, Melissa, how are you
Yes.
doing on your?
I'm in a holding pattern at the moment. I'm just waiting for the results so I can pass it on to.
Okay, this is on the appraisal
Yeah.
about the your abutter
Yeah,
status.
so I'm in
and-
and I've been playing phone tag, so I don't have a more thorough update of a timeline.
But they did do it. They came
Yes,
finally.
yeah,
Or- Okay.
they came and have done it. He's called back a couple times for some additional information. So it's
Okay.
really, I'm just waiting for the report and such. So I will let you know as soon as that happens. I'll let Becky know as soon as it's in my hands. And then I pass it on to the state ethics so they can review it. Make sure
Okay.
it falls within their guidelines. So
Okay, great. So we'll have this on the agenda too until
next I know.
until the final resolution. Okay, great. So Becky, you want to do your updates? We could do the easement or why don't you do your updates and then we can do the other two votes.
Okay, as you all recall, the parsonage well is attached to the fire station well. And as we just reviewed, the fire station well is the one with a high PFAS reading. So when I first talked to the contractor remodeling the parsonage, I strongly suggested that his best course of action would be to drill his own well. And today he came in to pay for a well permit. He's gotten drawings done and he's moving ahead with that. I will be reviewing the plans for where on the lot he's drilling the well and talk that through with him and Al Werner. Al Werner happened to stop by at the same time, so I had a little bit of conversation with him. We just want to make sure the placement of that well is as far away from potential contamination as it can be. And hopefully there may not be. The house directly to the east of them has a very, much lower reading of PFAS. And I think all the gas and the lean issue was flowing the other direction. So there's real potential for this to be a good well. And if it is PFAS, it can be addressed with the filters. So it still is a better situation than they're being attached to our well for the long term when with the uncertainties we've had with our well. The second thing to update you all on is last Thursday, we had a meeting down by the dam regarding the Lox Pond culvert. The Conservation Commission was there to do, I thought that was Miriam saying I was there. The Conservation Commission did their pre-construction meeting. We were in hurricane conditions. It was incredible. It was, you know, as soon as we left the site, I mean, umbrellas were going inside out. Everybody gave up on umbrellas. All the engineers were soaked to the bone. They couldn't take, you know, they couldn't pull out papers or take handwritten notes. But I think overall, we did cover the information that was needed. Miriam, did you want to speak to that or?
No, I think, you know, we're waiting to see their updated plan.
Especially for the dewatering plan is an area where the engineer had asked for some changes that were also requested by the Conservation Commission. So they're working on those presently and will be submitting them to the engineer, and they'll go back and forth, and then they'll come to the Concom. One of the issues that they requested was from Howie was if it was possible for the water to be drawn down a foot or two below the spillway, which is a little different than the norm. But a case in point was the conditions we were experiencing at the time. I had never seen white water waves on Lake Wyola before. I mean, it was crazy out there. So the water can come up quickly, and they agreed if possible, they will, you know, Howie will draw down a little bit to help make sure that they don't flood the dewatering zone during construction. He was describing, the engineer was describing other projects in July that just got totally flooded out and all work had to stop, you know, for weeks at a time. So if we can prevent that from happening, it'll be helpful. There was some more discussion about the detour, just cleaning up a couple things that Walter found. This was after the meeting when I was just talking to the engineer. One of the signs on the drawing was on an AT&T right-of-way that it doesn't need to be there, so that was removed. The detour plans, in-town detour plans, are down Wendell Road and across our new culvert. The construction folks had come that way today on that day. I'm surprised they made it. But they did notice that the road had been, you know, regraded, and that, you know, it's been widened in a couple of areas just a little bit to help make it more travel safe. But I think the Wendell Road will be the main route for people to take. The other route goes through Leverett on Montague Road and then back up around North Leverett Road. It takes about 18 additional minutes. So some people, you know, trucks will have to use that road. Walter had asked for a couple of signs to be added to the detour at the beginning and the end, reminding trucks, large trucks, semi trucks, not to go down Old Wendell Road. And they added those signs to their inventory to be set up hopefully next week. The last thing to update you on is lot 032. As you may all have noticed, if you pass by, there is no longer a cinder block building standing there. It is gone. There are a pile of tires, but the cleanup was pretty successful. Tim did a great job when he did it, and and last week they cleaned up the remaining cinder blocks, cement floor, and debris. We had scheduled an excavator to be delivered on Monday, this past Monday. Due to the hurricane warnings, Tim canceled the excavator for this week, because while the excavator can go into the wooded area with the tracking system, vehicles on wheels are liable to get stuck when it's really wet. So he wanted to hold off and let things dry out this week. And next Monday, the highway department will be going in with the excavators to take out the old metal cars, parts and tires that we have found back in there, to remove that, so that soil testing can happen in those locations. And I know Marianne has gotten 3 quotes from LSPs, from licensed site professionals, to test the area. And that will be occurring, after we get the trash out, hopefully by the first week or so in September. She needs to get full reports before the end of September. So I think she's on track to do that piece, and I'm on track to having it, the ground cleaned up enough so that the testing can be done appropriately. The last thing she's working on is the water testing, using the sample wells. And I spoke to Al Werner about that as well this afternoon. He wants to be sure that, it's going to take quite a bit of pumping to clean up the stagnant water that is in those resting wells. So it's going to be a time-consuming job, but I think, as we all know, it's going to be worth it. And the last thing is I think we also need to do a test of the shallow well on lot 032. It was clean the last time we tested it, so we'll be testing that again.
Vicki, was there any, were any drains found in that, in the slab, like oil drains?
Oh,
Anything
no.
No. Okay, good.
We checked for those years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we checked for those when we originally looked around. I think years back, there had been some barrels that we had removed by professionals, and that there was never any drainage, or there was not anything cut out of the surface there. It was a solid, well, it was a cracked concrete floor, but
Right.
there
Okay.
weren't any pits in it. So we didn't have that concern.
Great. Good. Thank you. Any questions? First from the select board, Melissa, Eric?
No,
Okay, Michael?
Thank you. Becky, did I misunderstand when you're talking about PFAS that there was some finding on 032, or did I just mishear?
I think I said the house next to
Next to.
lot 032, the
Okay.
Dillman property. They had I think it's around 40 was the number at that property.
Okay.
And they had for a long time put in a reverse osmosis system, like 35 years ago when Gary was still alive. He put in a lot of filtration at his property. So she has not been impacted by the PFAS because she started drinking filtered water a long time ago.
The
Okay.
water will be tested on lot 032 by the library.
The
Yeah.
water will be tested, but not for PFAS at this time, is
Okay.
what Marianne told me. I think if we, yeah, that's what she said. If everything else is fine, the PFAS can be handled through filtration systems. So it's not a deal breaker for the library.
And the library is still looking at both sites. I mean, they're doing the evaluation on both behind Town Hall and Lotto 32.
Yes. And the town hall was tested for PFAS. We don't have results yet. Yeah, we don't have results for here or the highway department yet.
Just a quick follow-up, Becky, what's the reason for not testing 032 for PFAS? Is it cost or time or what?
There isn't currently a well dug, right?
Well, the water is going to be tested through the test well that the Water Resources
Oh, okay,
Committee
right.
put in. So that's the water that's going to be tested. We could also test the water in the front. There's an old shallow well, only about 10 feet deep in the front. Michael, I'd recommend you're speaking with Mary Ann about that.
Okay,
I asked her about it. She said not at this time.
okay,
And,
maybe I will. Thanks.
and
Thank you.
maybe it can still be added to the list if it seems a more prudent thing to do.
And
Okay.
it may just be because there's no actual well for a building yet to be used, right? Because a test well, they won't use off of it because they don't want to draw off, right? So that probably is why the delay is there's not an actual well for building, supply of building yet there.
And I suppose the fact that you could put a charcoal filter in the
That
library.
was her main point.
Yeah,
That it should not be a deal breaker for the site if everything else proves out okay.
okay. Thanks. Eric, anything?
No, that's good for me. That, I think it's a good
Okay.
question Michael asked, but I agree with that answer.
Okay, great. So we have first an easement order for the culvert. Is that correct?
Yes, we do. Has the select board seen that?
Mhm.
Okay, so
Yes.
this is for, as you recall, one of the properties, the one right by the dam, was determined to be an open question as to ownership. It appeared that there was some unresolved deed issues with the current owner of the property. So we couldn't just do an easement directly with the current occupant. So at town meeting, we voted to do a taking of the property. And the occupant is in full agreement and wants the work done on the culvert. So we have his support. And so what has to be done now is the select board needs to sign those two orders, the order of taking and the notice of taking. And once I have those re-edited, because thankfully Rita noticed that all the, it had April Stein on it and it had Melissa as chair. So we had to switch things around for the current situation. So I've retyped those and printed them out and we'll put in the select board's box. I guess I'll put it in Rita's box and then I'll put it in a purple folder
Okay,
and you can find it there. Yes, Linda.
Linda?
I just wanted to remind you that I believe Grace has to
Notarize.
notarize, yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good point. So the
Yeah.
select board needs to come to sign those notices during the time that Grace is in the office, which is 10 to 1 and 3 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Eric, when are you back in town?
Tomorrow night. So theoretically, I could do it Friday. My guess is Friday afternoon. I have a doctor's appointment Friday morning, so probably Friday afternoon.
Is that soon enough, Becky? I mean, is there
Yeah.
any issue? Okay.
No.
All right, so I can come in tomorrow. And Melissa, I know you're back and,
No, I'm in a work hybrid situation, so.
oh, okay.
I alternate remote and in office. So
Okay.
tomorrow I'm at remote, so I can pop in tomorrow.
Okay,
Timing,
great.
I'm not sure exactly, but I will figure that out.
Yeah, I can try to stop in tomorrow afternoon too, depending on I'm in Pennsylvania right now, so just how fast I get out of here and all that kind of thing. But theoretically, I could be there by 5, so.
But Grace has to witness it, right? So she
Yeah.
might not be there still. What time
You
did you
said
say?
she's there
Till
till
5? Is she
5,
there
right,
till
Becky?
5?
Yes, she's there.
Okay,
till-
all right, so,
I'll stop
Alright.
in if she's there, fine. If she isn't, well, if I can, I'll stop in. And yeah, otherwise Friday.
Her car, right?
Pardon me?
You know her car.
Yeah. It's fine. I drive right by there anyway, so
yeah.
it's fine. I do know her car.
Okay, so I realized I skipped something in my updates, thanks to Kristen being there. The policy I sent out to you guys about how to move forward in COVID.
Oh, yeah, right.
I have a couple of just grammatical and format corrections.
Okay, and I have some questions for you because Kristen had some changes as well.
Okay.
So let's see if I
Can you pull it up, Becky? Is that possible? I read it.
I have it on my screen if we want to screen share. We don't have to, but I do
Yeah,
have.
that would be good.
I think, did you
Pretty short.
get the one that did I send one out to you just a little while ago?
I didn't get it.
No.
I have the one that was.
I had the one from the other, sometime in the last couple of
Yeah.
days.
Few changes to incorporate some of Kristen's concerns. So let me see if I
Okay,
can pull that one up.
go ahead.
Did you want us to adopt this tonight? Is that-
At least move it down the road if
Okay,
we're not ready to adopt, so at least it can give Kristen some guidance.
The general question I had about that is, and I'm not, could we mandate people to be vaccinated?
No,
Employees of Shutesbury? That's against the law?
correct.
The state's gonna
A
do it? We
private
can't do it.
a private employer can.
Well, the state's gonna do it, right? Isn't the governor gonna do it for his employee, the
state
executive office?
employees, I think they are, that they have to be vaccinated.
So if state can do it, why
I
can't?
know.
municipal? I mean, we'd have to provide a religious or a
Some sort of
medical
exemption.
exemption, right? Because that's what my employer did. It's mandatory. There is no exception except for documented religion or documented medical note. So
Yeah, I can't remember what that state, now that you say that, Eric, I saw that about state employees are going to be required, and I'm not sure what happens if you don't. I
well,
think
UMass has mandated it, so they're
Yeah.
state employees.
right.
To me, maybe this is a question for Donna, but I mean, if we could mandate it, I would mandate it personally. Just sort of say, hey, look, you're getting a paycheck from us. That's the rules. You want to work here? You got to do it.
Hmm.
That's what I'd say, but
That's what-
whatever.
That's what my employer has said, and if not, then
Exactly.
employment might end.
And what did they do with has the school committee done anything?
They were last working on the same guidance I was given by their lawyers, which was we couldn't mandate. So I have to find if that was updated.
I mean, I think some school systems are mandating. I believe that's true. I could be wrong about that, but I know some private and as Melissa's suggesting, some private schools have done it and state schools. I mean, it's getting very popular. Let's just put it that way.
Private employers.
Now that Pfizer has FDA approval, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So Becky, maybe we shouldn't vote on this until we've determined that, because if we want to put in a mandate,
Right, then we'd have to revote on it.
yeah.
Good point.
And how would we find out the answer to that question? Is Donna the one to ask about that probably?
Yeah,
Donna or Brian, maybe.
our rep, Brian Donovan with the union.
No. The one we were
Oh,
working.
oh,
with
Brian
on other
Huber.
things.
Okay,
His name was Brian, right?
Oh, the labor guy?
The labor guy, yeah.
okay. Yeah, no, that's a great suggestion, because do you all agree that you would mandate masks if possible at the risk of losing your job?
Mandate vaccines.
I'm sorry,
vaccines.
vaccines. Okay,
I think encourage masking.
That's fine.
And then people should default to whoever's in a group and feels the most vulnerable.
What about visitors what about the public coming into town hall? I mean, why can't we ask people to wear a mask when they're coming into the hall?
Oh, we can.
Yeah.
We can. I thought we did.
Offices is one thing,
require
but
that.
Yeah,
We
that
can
we
require
require it. Absolutely.
You're saying we can require it?
I don't know why we couldn't.
why not?
We
Why not?
haven't.
If we're requiring people to be vaccinated, I think we just say the public,
Okay.
yeah. I guess we should check on that. Kristen, did you have a?
I do, thank you. While we're waiting for the question at hand, I did have some concerns because we are moving into a situation where there's a lot of people that are becoming unwell with COVID. And there's even people that I know that are vaccinated that have become unwell. So I'm asking for the select board to back me, being the sergeant, still needing you to assist me in strength here, that if the officers do not want to provide their proof of vaccination, which if you don't want to provide it, then the officers will be mandated to wear KN95 masks when dealing with not only the public, but interpersonally in space with others.
I think that's reasonable.
Can you also request that they're tested? That's the other way. That's the other way people are doing it. They're sort of saying, if you're not vaccinated, you have to be tested within a certain number of days and so forth.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I have a whole list of things that I wanted to do. We're sort of on hold with some of them. I know that a lot of departments right now are mandating that if you choose not to show your vaccine verification, then you will be tested every 2 weeks. Regardless, there are still free testing sites to my knowledge, so we wouldn't be charged to have that testing done. I was more, if you're going to call out sick or you become sick or it is deemed by the supervisor that you should be tested, then they're sent to be tested for being sick, calling out sick, or because it is deemed by the supervisor that they should be. Those were some concerns of mine.
Can I jump in for a second, Kristen? So
Yeah.
CVS is now doing the antigen test. You do know within a 20 minutes or half an hour whether you have COVID or not, if someone is symptomatic, just so that as a resource.
Is that still free of charge?
It was as of the other day when I know 2 of my friends went and got it. So
for me, if you don't want to show your vaccine, okay, but we need to have more precautions than we're such a small department. If we lose one person, we go down. So I'm just trying to make sure that we are safe, we are healthy, and the public that we interact with so much is also healthy as well.
Miriam, I know you have a comment. I just wanted to ask one thing though. The draft policy, which was pretty brief, and it sounds like it's going to get much more complicated, said if you get sick and you haven't been vaccinated, if you got sick, you have to use your own sick time. There's no more. So if we didn't know whether or not they were vaccinated, that would be kind of tricky. If people don't, say an officer doesn't want to tell us whether or not they've been vaccinated, then they get sick. Then we have to know.
So they'll have a choice. If you don't want to disclose that information, you'll be using your own time.
Okay.
That's where my thought process is on that. Or you can say, yes or no. That's just, the stipulations that are out there. And if you choose to not disclose, that is what you're going to fall under as far as what we need to do to make sure everybody is remaining healthy and in a safe environment.
So going back to real quick, the vaccination verification, right? So that was something that Amherst College dealt with, in that they can't require a copy of our vaccination be in our file because of HIPAA laws and such,
Uh-huh.
but they could allow one person just to see that you had it and to verify that you've had it. So they did that with their testing protocol. We test twice a week, even if we're vaccinated at Amherst. So that's how they got around that, is that because they had a third party verify by seeing the card visually, not copying it, or just visually seeing it, and then keeping track that it had been verified, and just, yes, that's all that was there. Not the kind, not the that sort of thing. Just giving that as an information. If we mandate vaccination, we would have to verify in some way. But we can't hold the information. We can't have that information because it violates HIPAA. So there has to be some sort of a third party or some person, maybe the Board of Health, because they fall under that HIPAA, Kristen or Walter maybe, but.
I was just
they
gonna
fall-
say, there's other departments that are using their the head of their health department to hold that
verify.
information.
Yeah, so that might be just something to think about as we write this particular piece of policy.
So,
I have two things. Mary Ann is here because she wanted to let us know that she is now considering including PFAS testing of the water on the sites.
oh, okay, great, thank you. Anything else? And Miriam, did you have a comment? I think you're muted still.
I was just gonna say that the antigen test that you can get at CVS is not as sensitive as a PCR test. They're not equivalent.
Right, right.
But if
Thank you, Miriam.
someone's symptomatic, it does give you at least a little bit of information.
Gives you a little bit of.
If you have a high viral load, yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like we need to do a little bit more research, town council about whether we can, and it sounds like we could go ahead and require vaccination and then make sure that we have a policy concerning people coming into, the public coming into town hall. And for the police department, sort of what that, I don't know, we talking about a separate policy for officers,
I
or?
think we can just add to the bottom reference to the police department, because
Okay.
the select board is supporting all of it. So
Okay,
I think that would be fine. And I apologize, as I was logging in, the latest version that incorporated Kristen's issues disappeared, and I'm having trouble finding it. So otherwise.
I think I don't think we need to look at it now anyway, Becky, if we're adding to it. So it sounds like it's just going to be a more comprehensive policy if we, as Eric was suggesting, incorporate.
The last thing I would say, probably in relation really to people coming into the town hall, is, I mean, a lot of music venues and so forth, they're requiring either that you present proof of vaccination or that you present proof of a negative test within the last 48 hours. So you're not required to have it, but you have to, before you walk into in this case, a public venue that has music and so forth, you are required to prove that you're cool. And I don't see why we couldn't do that.
It's just who would monitor it at town hall, who's going to be.
I
Right.
do want to say.
Well, I guess that.
I have been very impressed that if some, I've been manning the door a lot with, Grace was on vacation. And people, before they see the sign on the door, and before they even open the door, they go back to their cars and grab a mask. And then, if I'm there, I'll yell to them that we have masks here if you need them. But I haven't had a single person that has given us trouble about the masks yet. So hopefully that respect level will continue. And Rita, I don't know, Miriam might want to.
I see her hand is still up, yeah.
Yeah, so-
Marianne, is there something you wanted to?
Well, I just wanted to make sure that it just sort of got said, but then so I heard that there was a discussion about the testing that the library is doing on the 2 sites, and that it was said that we weren't testing for PFAS. And at the same time, I was having conversations with site professionals about testing for PFAS. So I just don't want it to be, misrepresented that we're not testing for something when we are, we're still figuring out everything that we're testing
Okay.
for. And we do think now that it makes sense to test for PFAS. So we're just going to throw that test in on top of everything else. So that's all.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All righty. So, and I felt like when Becky said it, it kind of just got lost. Because you
Well,
weren't
it's
really
in the
done.
midst of.
I know
yeah,
you weren't really done talking to Kristen and figuring that all out. So,
We're still
righty.
masking. Yeah.
yes, we have so much going on. So,
Right.
okay. All right. Okay.
Thanks, Mary Ann.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to leave now.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So this will get on to our next agenda then, Becky.
Yes.
And if we could have the policy out as far in advance of the meeting as possible, that would be great, so that everybody has
Well, our
time
meeting
to.
is 4 business days away. It's next Tuesday. And
Oh, okay. Our next meeting is next Tuesday? Why
yep,
didn't I
the
know that?
31st. So it's coming right
Okay.
up,
Oh,
and
all right.
so I will get it out as soon as we get confirmed information, but it
Okay,
won't be more than 4 days ahead of the meeting.
okay, okay.
It might be closer to 2, depending on who gets back to me on and how soon.
Becky, do you want me to share the couple edits I had with the one that was sent out, just so you know what they are and you can?
Yeah, if you'll just send them to me, that'd be great. And then I
So you have to get to Donna to just double
I'm
check
not
with
sure
her.
if Anna's got the latest information. I want to think about that.
Okay, okay,
And maybe check with other STAM members and see if they've gotten it. And
yeah, what they're
Do we
doing.
want to check with the Board of Health at all, or have them weigh in on this idea?
I have had multiple conversations with Catherine, and I can give her the feedback of your updates. She was happy with the plan we had. And she'll let us know if she thinks we're going too far.
Okay. All right, great, thank you. So the next item on the agenda is to review the minutes from August 3rd and the MBLC.
Wait, you have to vote on back on the easement and notice of taking. You do have to vote.
Oh, we didn't vote, okay, all right,
Right,
so.
Right.
We're way back to that. Okay, all right, do I hear a motion to approve the easement order and the notice of taking?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, then we'll take a vote, starting with Melissa,
Aye.
Barrett,
Aye.
and Farrell, aye.
Okay.
Okay, good. So now we have minutes to vote on from August 3rd. So that's one and the same with the MBLC, the
We have a
meeting.
new member.
Oh, I see. Very enthusiastic new member. Very large new member.
This is Charlie.
Oh, he's such a good dog.
Maybe the
Charlie.
smartest member.
You may be. Maybe he's trying to tell us something.
Right, really. So do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of August 3rd?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments, discussion, changes? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Melissa?
O'Neill, aye.
Stalker, aye.
Farrell, aye. Okay, so Becky, what do we have, just quickly, what do we have on the agenda for the 31st? Other than,
Tabs, Melissa's updates,
Okay.
COVID
COVID.
policy, and Walter Tibbetts.
Okay,
Excuse me, but there were two sets of minutes.
there were
That's
two.
right.
This just says,
Oh,
The MBLC was also on the same day, August 3rd.
oh, right, okay, so, right, I forgot we met twice that day. I was thinking
Yes.
they were one. Okay,
yes,
so we need to vote on the MBLC minutes too.
yes.
Do I hear a
thank you.
motion to approve? The
So moved.
MBLC minutes?
Second,
Okay, all those in favor?
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stalker eye.
And Farrell, aye. Thank you, Linda.
And thank you.
I forgot, I was thinking, oh, that was one meeting, but we had two meetings that day.
Yes.
Okay, so Becky, it's kind of things we talked about tonight and for next week, and Walter.
And Walter, plus tomorrow, there'll be the 3 department heads, committee chairs from Conservation Planning and ZBA will be interviewing for a land use clerk.
Oh, okay,
So there might be another item on the agenda for next Tuesday, hopefully.
okay, good. Do we have good candidates?
I think so, yes.
Good, great.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else that we need to? Unanticipated? No,
I think we
Okay.
got really lucky with that hurricane fizzling
we sure
out.
did. We sure did. Yeah, we lost power at my house. I don't know.
Did
For,
you?
yeah, for about 6 or 7 hours.
Oh,
Yeah, I
Really?
think it was really localized.
My
'cause-
sister didn't lose anything and.
Yeah, no, I think it was Briggs Road.
Very
I'm
specific.
driving around going like, everybody has their lights on, what's going on? So,
Oh, no.
yes, we did lose power, but we survived. So,
Yep.
okay,
And I can report a tree fell down behind Town Hall and landed on the propane tank.
oh,
Well,
But the highway department cleaned it all up.
oh, good.
that
Okay,
was
do I hear a motion to adjourn?
yes, motion to adjourn.
Second.
A second? Okay,
I'll
all those
second
in
that.
favor? Okay,
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stalker eye.
Farrell, aye. Okay, we'll see you guys on Tuesday.
I'll try to
All right.
make that one on time.
Okay.
All right, and I'll see you guys
Okay.
at Town Hall.
Thank-
Have a
Okay.
good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
See ya.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Kristen.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Good night, Linda.
good night, Becky.
I feel like I had the sunroof open on my hair. Good night. Bye.
Bye.